Hello everyone, you're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Ontario reports 62 new COVID-19 deaths. Positivity appears to hit peak. Ontario extends sick leave program until March 2023. Markham woman drowns after falling from floating tube in Lake Simcoe. Pedestrian critically injured in two-car Scarborough crash. 4 teens charged in fatal shooting at Scarborough Plaza. Cost of gas in Ontario set to drop lowest level since April 15 on Friday. Rogers names new chief technology officer just weeks after massive outage. Ontario hospital workers union demand action to address staffing shortages as ERs forced to shut down. COVID-19 vaccine bookings for children under 5 opening in Ontario next week.
Those were the headlines, and now let's jump right into the details.
Today, Service Employees International Union Healthcare and Canadian Union of Public Employees, Ontario Council of Hospital Unions, held a joint press conference where they announced they are sending open letters to the Ontario Hospital Association and the Premier Duckford demanding full transparency and staff support to fix the worsening health human resource crisis in Ontario. Michael Hurley, Stewart's counterpart at CUPE OCHU, said hospital staff in Ontario are an exhausted and anxious workforce. Registered practical nurse Justine Champagne says frontline hospital workers across the Ontario are exhausted and burned out and feel they are being treated poorly. Hurley said an estimated 20,000 more hospital workers are needed in Ontario to address the shortfall in the healthcare system, which he noted was already significantly understaffed before the COVID-19 pandemic and inadequately funded for a very long period. A Markham woman drowned in Lake Simcoe on Wednesday afternoon after falling from a floating tube, police say. Emergency responders were first dispatched to Holmes Point Park in Georgina at around 2:50 p.m. for reports of a possible drowning. Police say that the 35-year-old woman was on a floating tube in the lake when a wind gust knocked the tube over, sending her into the water. Members of the York Regional Police Marine Unit immediately began a search of the lake for the woman with the assistance of a York Regional Police helicopter. The woman's body was then pulled from the lake at around 4 p.m. Police say that their investigation into the incident remains ongoing. Ontario will be extending its temporary paid sick leave program by about 8 months as the province continues to battle the spread of COVID-19. The program, which offers up to 3 paid sick days per employee, will remain in place until March 31, 2023. It was originally set to expire at the end of July. In a news release issued Thursday, the government said eligible workers will continue to receive up to $200 a day if they need to get tested, vaccinated, self-isolate, or care for a family member who is ill from COVID-19. The program remains temporary and specific to the novel coronavirus. In December, Labour Minister Monty McNaughton said he was committed to offering 3 paid sick days throughout the pandemic. "I will make sure that the workers have paid sick days throughout this entire pandemic," he said. Ontario detected 62 COVID-19 deaths over the past 7 days as hospitalizations climbed to their highest point since mid-May and test positivity among those still eligible appeared to hit a peak. The Ministry of Health says it is aware of 62 new deaths due to COVID-19 from the past 30 days, and of those, 24 were long-term care home residents. Hospitalizations are now at their highest point since May 11th. Monday's positivity reading was the highest seen in Ontario since April 23rd. Ontario's COVID-19 Science Advisory Table cited wastewater surveillance data showing viral prevalence is increasing in Toronto, the GTA, and central Western Ontario, but falling in Eastern Ontario and east of the GTA. Toronto police have charged 4 teens in connection with the fatal Scarborough shooting of a 24-year-old man in June. Police responded to a shooting at a plaza near Lawrence Avenue East and Markham Road at around 8 p.m. on June 8. Officers found a man suffering from gunshot wounds at the rear of the building. Despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Police announced Wednesday that 4 people were taken into custody in connection with shooting today. All 4 have been charged with first-degree murder, police said. They include 2 19-year-old men and 2 16-year-olds who cannot be named under the terms of the Youth Criminal Justice Act. The cost of gasoline is expected to fall by 4 cents a liter Friday, reaching its lowest level since April 15, says one industry analyst. Dan McTeague, the president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, said drivers in all cities in southern Ontario, including Toronto, Ottawa, Hamilton, London, Kitchener, Barrie, Niagara, Kingston, and Windsor, will be paying 174.9 cents per liter by the end of the work week. The price of fuel will also be dropping by 4 cents a liter in Montreal on Friday to 190.9. Rogers Communications Incorporated has a new chief technology officer just weeks after a service outage that crippled the company's networks and affected millions of customers across Canada. In a statement, Rogers confirmed that George Fernandez will be stepping down from his role as Chief Technology and Information Officer effective immediately. The telecom giant says Ron McKenzie will replace Fernandez. McKenzie has extensive experience in the telecom industry, including in technical operations with Rogers, and was previously president of Rogers for Business. He also spent 10 years at Shaw Communications Incorporated. The change comes after the company pledged to make investments to avoid a repeat of the network outage. Today, Service Employees International Union Healthcare and Canadian Union of Public Employees, Ontario Council of Hospital Unions, held a joint press conference where they announced they are sending open letters to the Ontario Hospital Association and the Premier Duckford demanding full transparency and staff support to fix the worsening health human resource crisis in Ontario. Michael Hurley, Stewart's counterpart at CUPE-OCHU, said hospital staff in Ontario are an exhausted and anxious workforce. Registered practical nurse Justine Champagne says frontline hospital workers across the Ontario are exhausted and burned out and feel they are being treated poorly. Hurley said an estimated 20,000 more hospital workers are needed in Ontario to address the shortfall in the healthcare system, which he noted was already significantly understaffed before the COVID-19 pandemic and inadequately funded for a very long period.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.